Morning, all of you. Now, today onwards, we are going to discuss our organic chemistry. Organic chemistry. It is in your first year. Most of the basics are available here, boys. Everything is important. Here, punctuality and continuity also very, very important. Because so every topic must appear in future end. So that's why. So connectivity is there in your organic chemistry, both in first year and second year. So that's why. So listen carefully and write our running notes detailedly. Let us discuss our today's topics. Okay. So now in organic chemistry, that is organic chemistry. What is organic chemistry? What is organic chemistry? It is the chemistry of carbon. It is the chemistry of carbon. Okay. So old days we are feeling like that, but today organic chemistry is nothing but. So organic chemistry is nothing but. It is the branch of chemistry, a branch of chemistry which deals with hydrocarbons and their derivatives. And their derivatives is called as organic chemistry. So hydrocarbons and their derivatives. So chemistry corresponding to hydrocarbons and their derivatives is nothing but organic chemistry. Now, what are hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are nothing but, so those are the organic compounds having carbon and hydrogen only. Hydrocarbons. So see here, hydro means hydrogen. Carbons means carbon. So therefore, organic compounds containing only carbon and hydrogen are called as hydrocarbons. So organic compounds containing only carbon and hydrogen are called as hydrocarbons. Let us take an examples. So see here, alkanes. This contains the general formula CnH2n plus 2Ra. So contains only carbon and hydrogen. Example, methane, ethane, C2H6, like this. So those are the compounds with only carbon and hydrogen. Next, alkenes. CnH2n. Here C2H4, C3H8, like this, only containing carbon and hydrogen. Similarly, alkynes. Next, that is CnH2n minus 2Ra. That is C2H2, etc. Only contains carbon and hydrogen. Next, benzene compounds, aromatic hydrocarbons. So C6H6, benzene, it is hydrocarbonic. Like this, these are all hydrocarbons, boys. These are all hydrocarbons. So the chemistry of these hydrocarbons and those compounds which are derived from these compounds. So let us take, this is methane, boys. It is methane. Okay. So it contains only carbon and hydrogen. Now, so one of the hydrogen is replaced with chlorine, that gives CH3Cl. It is derived from this. Okay. Hydrogen is replaced with chlorine. One more chlorine is replaced. Hydrogen is replaced. That is CH2Cl2, derived from that. CH3Cl, CHCl3, that is CCl4. All these are derived from methane, boys. So these are the compounds derived from methane. These are the compounds derived from methane. Okay. So these are all derivatives of methane. So that means, so the chemistry of alkanes and their derivatives. So the entire information. So organic chemistry tells about CCl4 and also about CH4. So chemistry of hydrocarbons and their derivatives is called as organic chemistry. Okay. Now, So in old days, our scientists feel that all these hydrocarbons, organic compounds, whatever it may be, only available from our nature. We can't prepare in our laboratory. So they feel, so in those days, that is nearly 1700s, 1800s beginning end. In those days, so the scientist, who is that? Berzelius. And the scientist, Berzelius, is the father of chemistry, boys. So that Berzelius gave a theory, explained a theory that is called as vital force theory. That is Berzelius proposed vital force theory. Berzelius proposed vital force theory. What is this vital force theory, boys? According to Berzelius, every organic compound which is available at that time only coming from nature. It is not prepared. It is not prepared in our laboratory. It is not synthesized in our laboratory. That means, so to obtain these organic compounds, so there is a force. That force is nothing but vital force. Vital force. So మన తెలుగులో మాట్లాడితే that is ఆధ్యాత్మిక, that is ఏమని చెప్పొచ్చు అంటే అతీతమైన శక్తి. So our life is based on some vital force. Okay, so our life, so like that every organic compound obtained from our nature, no doubt it is based on vital force. It is not possible to prepare ourselves in our laboratory. That is given by our Berzelius. So that's why the theory is called as vital force theory. According to this theory, no organic compounds can be prepared or synthesized in lab. So it is due to vital force. Some theory, some force is there. So some force is acting to prepare these compounds. That was not given by our human beings. So that is why, so not possible. So later researches are going on. So at one time, the scientist Euler, who is that? So that is Euler, that is 1828. In this year, Euler prepared organic compounds in lab. What is that organic compound? That is urea. So that means this concept, okay, so rules out the Berzelius vital force theory. So according to Berzelius, no compound is prepared in our laboratory, but it can be possible. That was proved by our Euler. So which compound he prepared? That is urea. It is possible to prepare it. It is possible to prepare that urea compound. How he prepared? So that is, he took ammonium cyanide, NaH4CnO. What is the name of compound? Ammonium cyanide. It is inorganic compound, boys. So by heating this inorganic compound ammonium cyanide, he prepared NaH2CO NaH2. It is organic compound. So organic compound. By using inorganic compound, you can prepare organic compound. In our laboratory, it is possible. It is possible. Okay. So that's why organic compounds can also synthesize in our laboratory. That was proved by Euler. That's why this theory, this vital force theory, was ruled out. So it is possible to prepare. Next, at the very nearest year, that is, it is 1828. Now it is 1845. And Kolbe. So he prepared acetic acid. He prepared acetic acid from elements He prepared acetic acid from elements. That means second compound also prepared in our laboratory boys. So that too from elements. It is from compound to compound conversion. But it is by taking elements, acetic acid is prepared. Acetic acid is the first compound prepared in laboratory from elements. Acetic acid is the first compound prepared in laboratory. So from elements, that is acetic acid. So the first synthesized organic compound, no doubt, that is urea. It is from compound to compound, but it is from elements, boys. So please note all the points. So the first organic compound synthesized in laboratory from its elements, from elements, is called as, is nothing but acetic acid. How is this? See here. That is how Kolbe prepared that acetic acid. That is see here, carbon with hydrogen. These are the elements ones. Carbon and hydrogen. Two carbons and hydrogen. So here electric arc end. Electric arc is passed, boys. That means current is passed. So automatically this gives CH triple bond CH, which is acetylene. It is acetylene. Okay. So this acetylene compound now hydrolyzed in the presence of HgSO4 and H2SO4. HgSO4 and H2SO4 hydrolyzed, that gives CH3CH2. It is acetaldehyde. Now it is oxidized. Now it is oxidized. That gives CH3COOH. It is the way to prepare acetic acid from elements. From elements, acetic acid is prepared. That is by Kolbe, boys. This is the way he done that experiment. Okay. So that means it is the second compound actually, but first compound from its elements synthesized in our laboratory. Later, that is 1850. Yes, 56. 1856. Berthollet. Berthelot. Berthollet prepared methane gas in laboratory. So that means all these points, preparation of urea, preparation of acetic acid, preparation of methane, all these points rules out the vital force period. So finally, we concluded that every organic compound can be prepared in our laboratory. It is possible. So Bergerius vital force theory is going out, rules out. Okay. So next, why sir? The next question is why sir? Organic compounds that much, vast number of organic compounds are there. Why organic chemistry that much developed when compared to other elements? Because carbon has some peculiar properties. So no doubt, next point, that is why carbon gives more number of compounds. It is the chemistry of carbon, nothing but. Organic chemistry is nothing but chemistry of carbon. Why? Carbon compounds are that much, huge number of carbon compounds are there, crores of compounds are there. Why carbon gives that much number of carbon compounds? So my question is why carbon compounds very huge? Why carbon compounds very huge and huge number of carbon compounds are there? Why? Okay. So the reasons behind this is first point. So carbon has high catenation power. High catenation power. That means already we explained in our 14th group elements boys. Catenation means, so yes, that is fine. Catenation means self-linkage of similar atoms to form long chains, branched chains, rings. So the tendency is very, very high for carbon. So its value is Number of carbons connected is infinity number of carbons. Huge number of carbons are connected either directly or branched condition or ring condition. Everywhere, different variety of compounds are possible. Next, carbon has high CC bond energy. So high CC, carbon-carbon bond energy is very, very high. Next, it can form multiple bonds. That means C double bond C, C triple bond C, like multiple bonds. That means P pi bond formation is possible. P pi bond formation is possible. Next, and most important, carbon has tetravalency. Carbon has tetravalency. Tetravalency of carbon, boys. That means, so carbon can form 4 bonds. Carbon can form 4 bonds. That is called as tetravalency. Because of these reasons, no other element gives that much huge number of compounds. So carbon has that tendency to give that huge number of compounds. That is why organic chemistry, organic compounds, organic chemistry that much developed. Because of these reasons. So the most important reason is carbon has a tetravalency. And carbon-carbon bond length is, bond energy is very, very high. Bond energy high. So next, tetravalency, any direction this can, it is going to be connected, boys. So now our topic is tetravalency of carbon. How to explain the tetravalency of carbon? So see here, subheading, tetravalency of carbon. Tetravalency of carbon. See, boys, already we know carbon can form bonds maximum. So that is a carbon around carbon 4 bonds. So valency of carbon is 4, and you see here how is that? That is a carbon atomic number Z is equal to 6. Electronic configuration, outermost electronic configuration is 2s2 2p2 only. 2s2 2p2. That means it contains 2 electrons in the 2s orbital and 2 electrons in the p orbitals, boys. 2 p orbitals. Okay, it is nothing but it is ground stated. In ground state, carbon is like this. So here in ground state, 1 pair of electron and 2 unpaired electrons are possible. So therefore, 2 unpaired electrons gives 2 bonds. So that means here carbon valency is equal to 200. Divalent. In ground state, carbon valency is 200. That means sometimes divalency is also possible for carbon in ground state. But most of the cases, excited state. That is, this electron is excited from there to here. That is, so 2s1, 2p3, 3 unpaired electrons. 3 unpaired electrons. That means total 1, 2, 3, 4. Total 4 unpaired electrons. That too in excited state, boys. That is why valency is equal to 4, boys. That means carbon easy to excite. Why, sir? Because that excitation energy for carbon is very, very less, which is collecting from our nature. That is why carbon ready to excite, ready to give 4 unpaired electrons, easy to form that 4 valency. That is carbon valency in most of the cases, 99.99%, not 100. 99.99%. The valency of carbon is 4 in most of the compounds. But sometimes it may give a divalent, and sometimes it may give a monovalent. Monovalent also possible, boys. See here, that is valency is 4, nothing but tetravalency. That is nothing but a tetravalency. Okay. Now note this point, very, very important. What is that point? That is See here, in carbenes, carbon valency is equal to 200. That is divalent. In carbene means carbon has a pair of electrons with two bonds. It is a carbene, boys. It is carbene. So a pair of electrons are there with two unpaired electrons. That are two unpaired electrons gives two bonds. It is possible in ground state. So in these cases, carbenes are like this. So here the valency of carbon is 2. Next point. In carbynes, that is in carbynes, valency of carbon is equal to 1. In carbynes, the valency of carbon is equal to 1. Carbine means, see boys, carbon has only one bond in it, but it may contain a pair of electrons with unpaired electron, or it has a single bond with 3 unpaired electrons, but these 3 unpaired electrons not involved in bond formation. Not involved in bond formation, only one bond can be possible. In this case, valency is 1. So very, very rare occasions, guys. But 99.99% valency of carbon is 4. Valency of carbon. Very rarely 2 and 1 are possible. 2 and 1 possible. So therefore, generally, the valency of carbon is 4n. That is called as tetravalency. So everywhere carbon can form 4 bonds. 4 bonds. So those 4 bonds, how to satisfy? So that was explained on the basis of hybridization concepts. Now, what type of hybridizations are possible in carbon? Next subheading, hybridizations of carbon. That is hybridization of carbon atom. Already we know about hybridization, boys. Already we explained, we learned in chemical bonding hybridization topic. See here, how is that? So carbon excited outermost electronic configuration is 2s1, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. Okay, so this is excited outermost electronic configuration. Now, carbon may involve sp hybridization by taking these two as pure p orbitals, and this gives sp hybridization, produce two sp hybrid orbitals. So during sp hybridization, two sp hybrid orbitals and two pure orbitals are available. It is possible, and that means so sp hybridization. Next, it may involve in sp2 hybridization. So this is one pz orbital, one pure p orbital. So here two pure p orbitals. Here one pure p orbital. One pure p orbital. It is sp2 hybridization. Here 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals are possible. 3 boys, these two orbitals in linear shape with bond angle 180 degrees. Here these 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals in trigonal planar shape, with angle 120 degrees. With angle 120, that means whenever carbon is in sp2 hybridization, so trigonal planar shape, all those bonds, let us observe, wait. It is 120 degrees. Next, if all these 3 orbitals are involved in bond formation, that gives sp3 hybridization. So no pure orbital. So 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals are available. 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. These 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals involved in tetrahedral shape. It is a non-planar, boys. It is a non-planar and tetrahedral shape with an angle 109 degrees 28 minutes and with an angle 109 degrees 28 minutes. So that means so whenever a carbon, see here, this is the carbon which is in sp3 hybridization, boys. So that means it has 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. So that gives 4 sigma bonds. And these are the 4 sigma bonds. Please wait. So 4 sigma bonds. So that is a 4 sigma bonds and no pi bond. Here carbon is in sp3 hybridization. Whenever carbon is involved in sp3 hybridization, no pi bond is there, all are sigma bonds. All are sigma bonds. Next, if carbon is in sp2 hybridization, that means it's 3 sigma bonds. That means, see here, this is a carbon with 3 sigma bonds. 3 sigma bonds. So here, 3 sigma bonds, and carbon has 1 pure p orbital with unpaired electron. Carbon has 1 pure p orbital with unpaired electron. That 1 pure p orbital gives 1 pi bond. That 1 pure p orbital gives 1 pi bond. That means, so carbon involved in sp2 hybridization gives 1 pi bond and 3 sigma bond. Next, so here carbon is in sp2. Now, carbon in sp hybridization, that gives sigma bonds 2 contains 2 pure p orbitals, boys. These 2 pure orbitals gives 2 pi bonds. So this is sigma bond, this is sigma bond. It is sp hybridization. So that means if carbon is in sp hybridization, that carbon has 2 pure p orbitals. If it is sp2 hybridization, 1 pure p orbital. If it is sp3 hybridization, no pure p orbital. No pure p orbital. Here no sigma bond. Here here no pi bond. Here 1 pi bond. Here 2 pi bonds and 2 sigma bonds. 2 sigma bonds and 2 pi bonds. Okay. So please consider these points. Already we know, but let us once again recollecting the points. So that means carbon can form 3 hybridations. One is sp hybridization, sp2 hybridization, sp3 hybridization. sp3 hybridization, no pi bond, 4 sigma bonds. Next, sp2 hybridization, total bonds 4, but 1 pi bond, 3 sigma bonds. Total 4. But sp hybridization, 4 bonds, 2 sigma bonds, 2 pi bonds. 2 sigma bonds. So anywhere carbon can form 4 bonds. Anywhere carbon can form 4 bonds. But here this carbon is non-planar, but this carbon is a planar carbon. This carbon also planar carbon. That means all the bonds within the plane. Here all the bonds within the plane, but here all the planes are non-plane, not within the plane, not within the plane. So that's why the carbon is considered as
okay. So this is about this
hybridization. Okay, this is about our hybridizations. Very, very, very important. Very, very important. Now, how to identify, how to represent this sp3 hybridized carbon, that is the tetravalent carbon, tetrahedral carbon on board plane, because that gives about non-planar atoms are there. How to identify planar atoms and non-planar atoms? Okay, so see here. Before going to that, here 3 types of hybridations. Let us let us observe the properties of these 3 hybridations. Already we know those points. What about that? So carbon here involved in sp3 hybridization, sp2 hybridization, sp hybridization. S percentage, P percentage, boys. Here 25% S, 75% PN. Here 33.3% S, 66.6% PN. Here 50% S, 50% PN. 50% PN. Therefore, as S percentage increases, electronegativity of orbital increases, size of the orbital decreases. As S percentage increases, electronegativity of the orbital increases, size of the orbital decreases. See here, sp3 orbital, hybrid orbital, one small lobe and one big lobe. It is sp3 orbital. It is sp2 orbital. This is sp orbital. So size of the orbital decreases. Size of the orbital decreases, but electronegativity increases. Therefore, order of electronegativity of carbon is equal to sp greater than sp2 greater than sp3n. So size of hybrid orbitals is equal to sp less than sp2 less than sp3n. sp less than sp2 less than sp3n. Next, very important. Next, bond angle. Here bond angle 109 degrees 28 minutes. Here bond angle 120 degrees. Here bond angle 180 degrees. Top to bottom bond angle increases, boys. So top to bottom bond angle increases. Okay. So very important. Next, these are important points. These are important points towards hybridization first. So sp hybrid orbital has greater electronegativity. sp has greater electronegativity. Later during discussions, that point we will using and we will use. Okay. So this is about hybridization points. Now, how to represent tetrahedral bonds of sp3 carbons? Representation. Bonds. See, boys, sp3 4 sigma bonds. 4 sigma bonds non-planar and non-planar, boys. Okay, so these are represented according to Lebel and Van Hoff.
And Van Hoff. So see,
this is the way to represent. That is, this is carbon. It has 4 bonds. Among 4 bonds, 2 bonds are in both the plane end. This bond and this bond, 2 bonds are in both plane. These directly connected atoms. Let us take this is A, this is B. So carbon bonded with A, carbon bonded with B. So this carbon A, B are on both the plane end. One atom, third, it is outside the board end, coming outside the board end. One atom coming inside the board end. One bond. That is why. So coming outside the board, that is represented like this. Wedge end is above the board. Above the board. Inside the board represented with dotted lines. Inside the board represented with dotted lines. So this is D. This is E. See, boys. So these are the. This is the way to represent a tetrahedral carbon on both ends. Okay, here this carbon, this A atom and this B atom, these 3 atoms on both the plane, yes, below dotted, above, outside. So outside is wedge ending, so inside of both is dotted end. Okay, this ACD, ACB. Okay, so these 3 atoms, A atom, C atom, B atom, on both the plane. A atom, C atom, B atom. Next, D atom outside both. E atom inside both the plane. Both the plane. So now tell me boys, how many atoms, maximum number of atoms in a single plane? How many maximum number of atoms in a single plane according to this structure? Is this 2 or 3? Yes, 3 atoms now. 1, 2, 3. Maximum 3 atoms are in the same plane. So this is outside the plane. That is inside the plane. So both are different planes, boys. D plane, E plane are not same. D and E are not in the same plane. They are in different planes. They are in different planes. Okay. So this is about the tetrahedral structure representation in sp3 case, boys. sp3. So 4 bonds are there. 4 are tetrahedral. So wedge bond outside the board, coming outside the board, and a dotted bond coming inside the board. Remaining these thick lines are on the same board, on the same plane end, both the plane end. So total 3 atoms are in the plane and remaining atoms out of plane. Remaining atoms out of plane. Okay. Based on these points, there is a question, boys. So find out the number of planar atoms, hybridization, and number of lone paired electrons, that is localized lone pairs and delocalized lone pairs. Some different questions based on these concepts. So may I ask in your objective side, boys. So let us discuss one by one. Before going to that, how to identify which carbon is in which hybridization. Okay, see here. Prediction of hybridization of carbon. Prediction of hybridization of carbon atom. Hybridization of carbon atom. See boys, carbon 4 sigma bonds, sp3 and sp3. Wherever sp3 is there, so our previous topic, that is a wedge line, dotted line, thick lines, everywhere the concept is applied. 4 sigma bonds here, 4 sigma bonds, 0 pi bonds. 4 sigma bonds, 0 pi bonds. Okay. Next, carbon with 3 sigma bonds. Carbon with 3 sigma bonds here. So among these 4 bonds, 1 bond is wedge, 1 bond is in dotted end. That means only 2 bonds and carbon are in the same plane. Next here, these 3 bonds are in the same plane. These 3 bonds are in the same plane. So it gives 1 pi bond. That means 3 sigma bonds, 1 pi bond. Here carbon is in sp2 hybridization. Carbon is in sp2 hybridization. So those atoms which are connected with these bonds are also in the same plane. Which are also connected in, those are also in same plane. But here this one and this one are in the same plane, but these two are in the not same plane. Next, total bonds 4. Here total bonds 4. Next, carbon with 2 sigma bonds. 2 sigma bonds. These 2 bonds are in the same plane end, both plane. Next, and 2 pi bonds. Here 2 sigma bonds, 2 pi bonds. Total 4 bonds. Total 4 bonds. Here carbon is in sp hybridization, or carbon bonded with 2 double bonds directly. Here also 2 sigma bonds, 2 pi bonds. Here also carbon is in sp hybridization. So this is the way how to identify the hybridizations. So all are single bonds, sp3. 1 double bond, sp2. Carbon with 2 double bonds, sp. Carbon with triple bonds, spn. Carbon with triple bond, spn. So these are the identifications. So whether the carbon, in that situation, carbon is in which hybridization. This is the simplest way to identify it. Simplest way to identify. Okay. Based on these concepts, let us observe number of planar atoms in different compounds. So note down the question, boys. Note down the question. Question ra. For a given compounds, for the given compounds, draw structures next identify hybridizations number of lone pair both localized and delocalized lone pairs, localized lone pairs or delocalized lone pairs, and number of maximum number of planar atoms. Maximum number of planar atoms. This is questions, boys. So first of all, write its structure, and now identify hybridization of that elements, both carbon and other elements are there. Hybridization of those elements, not only carbon, every element. Next, lone pairs and number of planar atoms. Maximum number of planar atoms. Okay, boys. Before going to give the concept. So if nitrogen is present in your structures, so nitrogen has one lone pair, boys. Please keep in mind. Next, if nitrogen is in the form of N minus, nitrogen has two lone pairs. If oxygen is there, oxygen has two lone pairs. If oxygen minus is there, oxygen has three lone pairs. If simple sulfur is there, two lone pairs. So sulfur minus is there, three lone pairs, boys. Sulfur minus, three lone pairs. If halogen is there, chlorine like that. Halogen is there. Halogen has three lone pairs. Halogen with one bond, three lone pairs. But X minus is there. Total four lone pairs are there. Total four lone pairs. So this is the way to identify how many number of lone pairs in a particular atom. Okay, very important. Oxygen, two lone pairs generally. O minus, three lone pairs. That minus means gaining of electron. Okay, so like this, you can predict number of lone pairs are also number of. So let us take one by one examples first. First one, CH4. First of all, draw the structure. That is carbon. 4 bonds, tetrahedral. So hydrogen. Tetrahedral. So this carbon is in sp3 hybridization. Tetrahedral carbon. Because carbon bonded with 4 sigma bonds. See, boys, see here. So here carbon with 4 bonds. Generally, all are sigma bonds. All sigma bonds are nothing but sp3. If sp3 is there, this is the way to represent. It is the way to represent. Now, number of lone pairs. No nitrogen, no oxygen, no sulfur, no halogen. Lone pairs 0. Next, hybridization of carbon is sp3. So maximum planar atoms. Tell me, boys, how many maximum number of planar atoms are there? So see here, this hydrogen, this carbon, and this hydrogen. These 3 atoms are in the plane. These are outside the plane. Therefore, maximum 3 oxygens, the 3 atoms are in same plane. Maximum 3. So like this, everyone in like this, everyone. See here, second one, C2H6, C2H6. So this is, I'm representing like this, 2 carbons. So 6 hydrogens equal sharing, 3 hydrogens, 3 hydrogens. So 1 bond end, because carbon maximum 4 bonds. Okay, so all are sigma bonds, all are sigma bonds. That's why this carbon is in sp3. This carbon also in sp3. sp3, sp3. Both the carbons are in sp3. If sp3 is there, tetrahedral structure should be right. So that is, see here, this is carbon, boys. It has 2 planar bonds and 1 outside the plane and 1 inside the plane. Next, this carbon, 1 planar atom, another 1 planar atom, planar bond. 1 outside the plane and 1 inside the plane. 1 outside the plane and 1 inside the plane. See here, this is CH3. This is CH3. Now count the number of planar atoms. Lone pairs 0. Lone pairs 0. Planar atoms. So this bond end 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the only 4 atoms in same plane end. So remaining are outside the plane end, not in the same plane. Maximum planar atoms. So 4 end. Therefore, maximum planar atoms is equal to 4 end. Maximum planar atoms is equal to 4. Boys, is this clear? Those bonds are directly connected with simple bonds. Simple bonds, not wedge, not dashed. So those wedge and dash bonds are outside the plane. So thick bonds are only within the plane. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 atoms are in the same plane. Next, C2H4. C2H4. Equal sharing end. 2 carbons, 2 hydrogens for this one, 2 hydrogens for this one. 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens. Carbon 2 bonds are completed. Remaining 2 bonds as double bond. It is C2H4, boys. So because double bond is 1 double bond, 1 pi bond, that is, it is sp2. This is also sp2. sp2, sp2. Now planar. See here. These 3 bonds from carbon has planar condition. These 3 bonds from carbon also has a planar bonds. It is pi bond natural. See here. So these are all planar bonds. So therefore, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, all are in the same plane, boys. Therefore, so maximum planar atoms, maximum planar atoms is equal to 6. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Next, C2H2, acetylene. Now, 2 carbons, 2 carbons. 1 with this one, 1 with this one. 2 hydrogens equally shared. 1 bond is completed. Remaining 3 bonds are there. So that is why there is a triple bond between carbon and carbon. Okay. Now, it is sp, and triple bonded carbon is in sp hybridization. Now, so all these carbons, carbon, carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen are in the same plane. So maximum planar atoms is equal to 4. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Boys, so sp, wherever sp, those 2 bonds within the plane. These 2 bonds within the plane. Next, this is sp. These 2 bonds within the plane. Those directly connected atoms are also in the plane. That is why all these atoms are in the same plane. Okay. Remaining 5 bonds are no need of consideration of 5 bonds. Okay. So this is the way to identify the planar atoms. All the 4 atoms are in the same plane. Okay. Next one. Boys, is this clear? Did you understand the concepts? Organic end, easy end, but easy volatile also. Okay. Next, C3H8. C3H8. Wait. I will give every explanation. I will give it about lone pairs also, localized and delocalized. With examples, I will explain it. C3. See, boys, 3 carbons. Terminal carbons have 3 hydrogens. It is alkane category. Middle carbon has 2 hydrogens. So this is the bonds, boys. This is C3H8. It is sp3. It is sp3. It is also sp3. All the 3 carbons are in sp3. Every carbon should be in tetrahedral formation. So that is non-planar situation. I am writing non-planar structures, boys. See here. So first of all I am trying with middle carbon. This is middle carbon, and this middle carbon has 2 bonds within the plane and 2 bonds outside the plane. So this is the bond within the plane. This is the bond within the plane. This is above the plane. This is below the plane. Okay. So this is with hydrogen. This is with hydrogen. So these are not in the same plane, but these bonds are in the same plane. So those directly connected atoms are also in the same plane. See here. Now it is connected with 2 carbons. 2 carbons. Now next. Maximum I am trying. Because it is sp3. So it has 2 bonds within the plane. This one and this one within the plane. One is outside the plane. One is inside the plane. So H. So this is also sp3, boys. One within the plane and one outside the plane and one inside the plane. And hydrogen. So this is the way represented this molecule. Now all carbons are in sp3. Now maximum planar atoms. Tell me, boys, how many maximum number of planar atoms? Count them. Only 5. Yes, correct. This one. Only 5 atoms. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Okay. Next molecule. C2CN4. See, boys, 2 carbons. I am representing like this. 2 carbons. CN4 means 2 cyanides. This one, 2 cyanides. This one. So for this CN, this is CN. So this one CN, this one CN. So for 2 bonds for this, 2 bonds for that, completed. Now 2 bonds are there. It is double bonded. Therefore, this carbon is in sp2. This carbon is also in sp2. That means all these 3 bonds within the plane. See here, finally, carbon, this bond within the plane, because sp2. But the attached carbon, this one is within the plane. But this carbon, it is triple bonded with nitrogen. This is also triple bonded with nitrogen. Cyanide like this. Carbon, C triple bond N. This carbon is in sp. Nitrogen also sp, boys. Carbon sp. sp connected nitrogen also spn. sp2 connected nitrogen is sp2, like that. So this is sp2. This is sp2. This is sp. This is SPN. These are the hybridations. It is SP. It is SP. These are the hybridations of those atoms, boys. Okay. Now, it is linear. That is why this nitrogen also is in the same plane. So all these atoms are in the same plane. All these atoms are in the same plane. So count the number of atoms in the same plane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 plus 5, 10. Total 10 atoms are in the same plane. So maximum planar atoms is equal to 10. Lone pairs. So see, boys, wherever nitrogen is there, that nitrogen has one lone pair and without negative charge. So therefore, lone pairs is equal to 4. All those lone pairs are fixed to nitrogen. No resonance concepts are there. Okay, that is why that is localized lone pairs. Localized. Fixed to nitrogen. Fixed to nitrogen. That is not rotated, not revolved throughout the molecule. That's why it is localized. Okay, next one. Next one. Tell me, boys. C2CN2. C2CN2. Tell me. C2CN2. Tell me about its conditions. So that is C2, 2 carbons. CN, it has one triple bond. CN, it has triple bond N. This nitrogen has lone pair. This nitrogen has lone pair. So there is a triple bond between carbon and carbon. So this is sp, this is sp, 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 sp. All are in sp, boys. So all these atoms are in the same plane. All these atoms are in the same plane. Therefore, maximum planar atoms. 6 end. 6 end. Lone pairs. These are fixed at these positions. So localized. Lone pairs is equal to 2. Localized lone pairs is equal to 2. Okay. Next. This is CH2 double bond CH NH2, boys. Nitrogen has lone pair. Listen, boys, listen carefully here. One lone pair is there. So this lone pair, single bond, double bond. So lone pair and pi bond is in conjugation, alternative lone pairs and pi bonds. So this lone pair is migrated here, this pi bond is migrated here. So that means the lone pair is not fixed at point. Resonance concept is there. So therefore, here lone pair is equal to delocalized rate, which is equal to 1. So not fixed at nitrogen, it is a rotated, that is a delocalization takes place. Not fixed at one position. Therefore, delocalization, whenever lone pair and pi bond alternative is there. So lone pair pi bond separated with a single bond. So lone pair pi bond separated with a single bond. That lone pair is in resonance. So that is why that is called as a delocalization. So what that is a delocalized rate. Now structure CH2, it is sp2, pi bond CH, C, N, H2. Boys, this carbon sp2, this carbon sp2. So sp2 connected nitrogen also sp2. sp2 connected nitrogen also sp2. Okay. So therefore, see here, planar atoms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maximum planar atoms. Tell me, boys, how many planar atoms? 1. See here, it is also here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 are the planar atoms. 8 are the planar atoms. See, boys. See here, lone pair and pi bond separated by a single bond. That is conjugation. Wherever conjugation is there, that pi bond and lone pair are in resonance. So we will explain at the time of resonance concepts. So please wait up to that. So up to that, this is the simplest information. Okay. So this is therefore maximum planar atoms. is equal to 8. So delocalized lone pairs. Next, hybridizations, boys. So sp2, sp2, sp2. So hybridizations sp2, sp2, sp2. Okay. Next and very, very, very important. Allene. Allene. Next compound, allene. Allene. The example is this one. CH2 double bond C, double bond C, H2. This is allene, boys. Listen carefully. I'm not trying to repeat once again. Listen carefully first of all. This carbon, double bonded carbon, sp2. This is sp-end. Two double bonds, sp-end. It is sp2. Okay, see here. I'm writing carbon, sp2. It has one pure p orbital. It is one pure p orbital. Next, this carbon sp, it has two pure p orbitals. Two pure p orbitals. Next, this carbon is also sp2, boys. sp2. Listen carefully, because these two orbitals are in sideways overlapping. Now this one and this one is sideways overlapping. This should be in same plane. That means that's why I'm representing that pure p orbital with like this. Okay. See here, it is a px. Sorry, it is a py. Let us take this is okay. It is px. It is pxn. It is a py. It is a pyn. So px px sideways overlapping. Py sideways overlapping. So because of that, here a pi bond is possible. Here also a pi bond is possible. See, boys, it is a py that is out of plane ending, just perpendicular plane. Because of that, this attached bond is out of plane. This bond is dotted line. This bond is dotted. See here, these are x-axis. These are y-axis. Exactly. Automatically bonds are like this. Bonds are like this. So that means even number of carbons are there. The third carbon is like this, and even though it is sp2 hybridized. Therefore, here hydrogen. So this hydrogen. Now, planar atoms. Maximum planar atoms is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only ending. Maximum planar atoms only 5 are, but not these two ending. Because this pi bond is like this. Pi bond just perpendicular to the pi bond of previous one. So that's why it's out of plane. Those two bonds are in out of plane. For example, if even number of carbons are there, now I am trying to explain with this one, boys. Please note down this. So that is CH2 double bond C, double bond C, double bond CH2. So even number of carbon atoms. Here, odd number of carbon atoms. So in case of odd number, this is the way to explain it. In case of even number, see here, I am drawing here 4 carbons. So this is sp2, sp, sp2. So this is sp2, 1 pure p orbital. Next sp, 2 pure p orbitals. sp, 2 pure p orbitals. sp2, 1 pure p orbital. See here, it is px py ra, px py ra. It is a py, it is also py. This px and px first overlapping and py py ra here overlapping, py py ra here overlapping. Boys, it is py, py. That means all are in the same plane. That's why all four carbons like this. Therefore, these two pi bonds are also in the same plane. So therefore, here hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. Therefore, maximum planar atoms is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the maximum planar atoms. 8 is the maximum planar atoms. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Did you understand the concepts? Very, very, very important. Identify the number of planar atoms. How to identify the number of planar atoms. Okay. So this is about allenes. Allenes means carbon has two pi bonds. Sorry, two double bonds. That type of compounds are called as allenes. So at the time of alkenes, we will discuss the preparation properties for those allenes. If odd is there, that last carbon is out of plane. Those two bonds are out of plane, just like in free case. Next one, that is toluene. Toluene formula C6H5CH3. Its structure is like this. Benzene, one of the hydrogens is replaced with methyl group. Toluene. See here, listen carefully, boys. 6 carbons. These are 6 carbons. All these 6 carbons are in sp2 hybridization, alternative pi bonds. Every carbon has 3 sigma bonds. Every carbon has 3 sigma bonds. So these are bonded with hydrogens. So here 6 carbons are in sp2 hybridization. Okay. Now this hydrogen is replaced with methyl group. Any one of these 6 is replaced with methyl group because all these are in the plane. So this is the same plane, boys. This carbon also in the same plane, just like hydrogen. But this carbon is in sp3 carbon. sp3 carbon. That is why. So one more same plane, another one out of plane, another one out of plane. So here CH3. Here CH3. Okay. So tell me, how many planar atoms? Maximum planar atoms. Therefore, maximum planar atoms. Maximum planar atoms. Okay. See here, how many planar atoms? So 6 carbons, 5 hydrogens, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13 planar atoms. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Lone pairs is equal to 0. Like this, boys. It is the way to explain so how many planar atoms, how to count the number of planar atoms. So is this easy or difficult? Is this easy or difficult? Tell me. Okay, boys. Okay. So please leave 2 pages, one full sheet. So I will send the notes. Though some more examples are there, please try yourself. Already I explained the concepts. Please try yourself at the time of our study hour. Okay. If you have any doubts, ask at that time. Please leave 2 pages. Okay. Now next subheading. That is purification of organic compounds. So that is methods of purification of organic compounds. methods of purification of organic compounds. Boys, this is actually present in our syllabus, but those are all required, boys. Methods of purification of organic compounds. Okay, so just listen, boys. Boys, our organic compounds generally extracted from our nature and also can be prepared in our laboratory. Whatever it may be the method to extract, so no doubt every organic compound has some impurities. That is why those compounds are impure compounds. So we can purify those compounds. How to purify those compounds? That was depending on nature of the compounds. Okay, purification of compounds, boys. So whatever it may be, impure compounds that is collecting either from nature or in the preparation of which is prepared in our laboratory. All those are impure compounds, boys. Okay, so now how to purify these compounds? Purification of organic compounds. So no doubt that is, so purification methods mainly depends upon first point, nature of the compounds. Second point, nature of impurities. That means what you have to purify. Oh, what is that organic compound you have to purify? Its nature. Now, what are the impurities which are present in that compound? Its nature. Both these natures are very, very important to purify, to apply the techniques to purify that compound. Okay, so there are number of different techniques to purify organic compounds. So different compounds have different techniques. Okay, so here it is not possible, Varshit. So every compound must be impure. Not possible to prepare direct purified compound. Okay, so what are those methods? Methods to purify. One, that is a sublimation. Second one, crystallization. Third one, that is a distillation. Fourth one, solvent extraction. Fifth one, that is a chromatography. These are the 5 methods to purify our organic compounds, depending on the nature of compounds and impurities. So any one of these methods are applied. Okay, let us discuss one by one. That is, first one, sublimation. Sublimation. Already we know, boys, what is sublimation? Conversion of a solid compound directly into gaseous state without transforming into liquid stage is called as sublimation. So that is, see here, so solid directly changes to gaseous state. So the process is called as sublimation. Solid directly changes to gas. The technique is called as sublimation. So this technique, that means, so solid compounds are purified by this method. So first point, so solid organic compounds are purified by this method. Solid organic compounds are purified by this method. So when, sir, when it is possible? See here. So this is our organic, impure organic compounds. So it has organic compounds plus impurities in it. So organic compound is sublimizable but not impurities. Therefore, in this mixture, organic compound is sublimizable. That means it evaporated, converts into vapor state. Just for example, camphor organic compound. Camphor, it is easy to evaporate without changing into liquid state. Camphor, karpuram. Next, naphthalene. Okay, so solid, easy to evaporate into vapor state. So that is why, like that compounds, naphthalene, anthracene, like that compounds are purified by this method, boys. So see here, organic compound is sublimizable and but not organic impurities. See here, this is the plate, glass plate, boys, contains our organic compounds. It is impure organic compounds, impure compounds. So an inverted glass vessel is placed, boys. Glass vessel, inverted glass vessel is there. So now it is heated. So automatically, so organic compound is vaporized. And collide with the walls of this glass vessel, and here it is precipitated. This is pure organic compound. Impurities are left here. So now separate these two compounds. It is a way to purify methods. So just by sublimation. Now, what are those examples which can apply for this process? So examples, that is a camphor. Camphor is purified by this method. Camphor, OR. Naphthalene is purified. Anthracene is also purified by that method. Benzoic acid is purified. Next, indigo, purified. Next, iodine, purified. Next, anthraquinone, purified. Next, phthalic anhydride, it can be purified. Phthalic anhydride. Next, HgCl2, mercuric chloride. Next, solid SO2. These are all purified by this method, Okay, so this is about purification. That is sublimation technique. So one among those two, either organic compound or impurities, one is sublimizable and the other one is non-sublimizable. The technique is applied. So these are all purified by that techniques. Next one, crystallization. Second method, crystallization. This method also useful to purify solid organic compounds. So it is also to purify solid organic compounds. It is also used to purify solid organic compounds. When, sir? When it is applicable? See here. So this is our organic compounds and impurities. Organic compound and impurities. So this mixture is dissolved in a solvent. This mixture is dissolved in a solvent. So choose that type of solvent. Okay. So that solvent, one of these two is soluble and the other one is not soluble. So mostly organic compound, this is soluble, but it is in this solvent not soluble. In this solvent not soluble. One is soluble and the other one is not soluble. So at high temperature, it is highly soluble, but not this one. So now, the entire mixture is heated. The entire mixture is heated. During heating, the solubility of this organic compound is gradually increases and almost completely soluble, but not this impurity set. So is heated at high temperature. So this mixture contains solvent containing organic compound, soluble organic compound plus impurities as residual. Impurities as residue. So all the entire organic compound at that high temperature soluble in that compound and impurities are residual. Residual impurities are available. Now this mixture is filtered. So residue, nothing but impurities, discards. Residue discards and filtrate. Slowly cooled. Filtrate slowly cooled. At high temperature it is soluble, but at low temperature it is insoluble, not soluble. So during cooling, the soluble organic compound slowly going to be precipitated out in the form of crystals wise. So slowly cooled. So crystals of organic compounds obtained. It is a pure crystals of organic compound is obtained. It is the way to prepare, to purify our organic compound wise. It is the way to purify our organic compound. So that means, first of all, this solid is dissolved in particular solvent and recrystallized. That is why this technique is called as a crystallization technique. So here, particularly, a particular specific solvent is used. Frequently used solvents are used solvents are water, alcohol, next there is either water, alcohol, either, next what is that? Just a minute. So water, alcohol, acetone may also use it, boys. So acetone. So acetone, next chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, next petroleum ether, benzene. So these are frequently used, boys. Any one of these here is used, depending on the nature of those chemicals. So where it is soluble? No, not possible, boys. So Sriram. Okay. So like this, it is possible. Like this, it is possible. So it is crystallization. So first of all, dissolve and then precipitate. For example, If both are soluble, see here. If both are soluble, see here, here organic compounds plus impurities. So take a solvent. Here it is partially soluble, or which is also called as sparingly. And the second one is highly soluble. Highly soluble. So one is partially soluble and second one is highly soluble. Automatically in this situation, fractional crystallization technique is used. Fractional crystallization technique, that is a repeated crystallization. So accurate crystallization, fractional crystallization technique is used. So if this situation is available, so this is repeated number of times. This is repeated number of times. For example, if colored impurities are there, if colored impurities are there, those are separated. Those are separated with adsorption technique, with activated charcoal. By adsorption technique. So adsorption technique, that means, so in that liquid, so charcoal is added and shaken well. So all the colored materials are attracted on the surface of the charcoal and removed, the colored impurities are coming out. So that is a way to separate this technique wise. So this is crystallization and fractional crystallization. So examples. So that is examples. That is sugar. First one, example one. Sugar, it is our organic compound boys, plus salt, and it is impurity. Here, these two mixture is dissolved in alcohol, and so sugar is completely soluble. Salt is not soluble, not soluble, boys. So now friction, that is the crystallization technique is applied. Now crystallization technique is applied. For example, KClO3 plus KCl mixture is there. This KClO3 is partially soluble, and KCl is that is more soluble, highly soluble in water. Here fractional crystallization technique is used. Here fractional crystallization technique is applied, boys. Like this, crystallization, fractional crystallization for solid organic compounds or inorganic compounds, whatever it may be, is purified like this.